All right, let's rock and roll, fellas. It is Euro 2020. We won't get into why we're calling it 2020, but it is what it is. Line Breakers FC, episode 71, fellas. We're just continuing to knock them out the park. We got a hot one with you. We're going to preview the whole tournament, give you some winners, give you our best bets of what we think of it, and then we'll roll into what we like for this weekend. I believe the matches go all the way until Tuesday or Monday. So we'll give you plays all the way out to then. As usual, joined by Joey B and AJ. How you fellas doing today?
Dude, amazing. Euros 2020 is here. I'm excited to talk about Jadon Sancho and everything he has to offer. Hopefully the transfer comes through soon, but we'll talk more about that later. Joey B, how are we feeling?
This is just a year ago when we were talking about Jadon Sancho to Man U, so hopefully it ends a little better for you, but doing well. Looking forward to some competitive soccer for sure coming up.
Oh, yes, we will definitely have competitive soccer. Total-wise, maybe we won't, because if you look out there at the board, there is 0-3 sitting out there, but that's kind of expected with national team play. I got two other quick things for you. Only 8 teams get eliminated from the group stage, so I don't want to say what's the point of the group stage. I fully understand of the qualifications and how we get there, but only seeming like of a field of how many they have, only 8 remain. Kind of weird.
Yeah,
I agree. We should just talk about the teams we think should get eliminated, and then we'll be done way quicker.
Agreed.
All right, so quick trivia question for you guys here, because I had to get MLS into the show somehow. How many MLS players are on Euro 2020 rosters? Quick answers.
2.
Joey B, 2?
4.
2.
7. Finland has 3, Hungary has 2, Slovakia has 1, and Poland has 1. So that's where if you need to get your MLS action out for this time, that's where you can get it. But let's just get right into the group of death where there are 2 of those MLS players coming at you, and they'll probably make great impacts against Portugal, Germany, and France here. So poor Hungary. Before we get into the big boys, especially with with goal differential and with the third place qualification, if you're the top 4, this could just be a real rough tournament for Hungary just because each of these teams might try to make up a little bit of a differential, because I will guarantee one of these matches between France, Germany, and Portugal, it will end 0-0. These teams won't try to show that much against you. We'll see it more with Hungary, who we'll see with the weak teams. I think they're going to sit back, but if Hungary has any chance, I think they might just take the Salzburg Red Bulls approach and just go alls out and just hope by God that you just make your 3 shots on target. But France, they're sitting at plus 140. Germany, they're sitting at plus 175. Portugal, strangely sitting at plus 310, where I can argue and make the case that they're the strongest team in the group. So, AJ, what team do you want to start off with, or what do you see from this group?
Okay, quick question for you guys. Talking about Hungary, do you think they get a point out of this group, or do they end up with 0 points?
0.
Like, no hesitation, 0 points. Okay, fair enough.
Like a -12 goal differential.
Yeah, fair enough.
They're also missing Sezbola, their best player, best young guy from, I think it was a Salzburg. Saw him score a couple bangers in the Champions League, but he's injured, so he's out.
Perfect. Yeah, fair enough. So I'll start with Germany. Germany, for me, I don't know. I'm personally not that high on Germany. Their odds to win the entire tournament, which we'll touch on later, sit around plus 900, which is the same as Portugal. But to win the group, they're plus 175 compared to Portugal's plus 310. I think that's really interesting. I think after the World Cup in Brazil, I think Germany's just been on a down trending. They have some good up-and-coming young players. Obviously, Havertz won the Champions League. They have Neuer in the back, so they're always solid and stuff like that. But for me, Germany, I'm just not that high on them.
Yeah, I think I kind of agree. They have like a weird age group of players. They're either like in their mid-30s or like mid-20s. A handful of young guys. I think this tournament will be tough for them, but I mean, they're still bunch of quality players, and obviously they should get out of. I think they'll end up in the top 2, but I don't know. Portugal will be a tough team, but yeah, I tend to agree. Kind of similar thoughts about Germany.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So with each of these teams, I guess I kind of pointed out and tried to figure out where each of their weaknesses is. Hungary, just no talent there. With Germany, I'm afraid who's going to be scoring for them because Werner's going to be their guy up top. And then who they bring in for their next striker, who's it going to be? Is it going to be Narby, Grosteka? Like, that's where I'm just saying, given their current style of play under the new manager, or this is Lowe's last matches as well because the Bayern manager comes in after this.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this could be the peak, the ultimate, send your guy off who he didn't underperform, but like he got on the World Cup, obviously, so it's hard to say that he did that, but this could be the perfect send-off, or I could just see this going just extremely bad because of all three sides in this. I think they have the best chance to be coming in third of this group. They're the team that I'm the lowest on of the three,
Mm-hmm.
even given the talent that they do have there in the midfield. It's just that who's actually going to be finishing the chances, that gives me the most cause for pause, as Daryl would say from our NBA show.
I'm surprised they don't do like a City false nine, just have Havertz, Sané, and Serge Gnabry, however you want to pronounce that, up top, and try to skip that whole Werner can't score from 5 yards out sort of deal.
That's not a bad idea.
I think that's how they should set up, but it's also important to note that VAR will be in the tournament, so Werner probably over under 15 offsides calls in the first 3 games. I also think I found it funny. There's a preview I'm looking at, and they kind of describe some of the players. Kevin Vollen, or that's probably not how you'd say, but he plays for Monaco. They describe him as a practical joker, and he's their number 9. So I don't know if that's the type, the characteristic that you're looking for in your number 9.
That's a good one there. So let's talk Portugal. This is the team that I don't want to say I'm the most sold on because it's hard to go against the prior World Cup champs, but at plus 310, it's really pushing me to get this because Portugal's weakness is on their defense, but you have Ruben Diaz back there, who was the Premier League Player of the Year, but who you have surrounding him is kind of more of your issues in the long run. But I do like that Semedo probably will be playing for them as a wingback position. So there, and of course you have Ronaldo up there. I'm allowed to like him because it's not Serie A play, so it's a great time to enjoy him and root for him in the few chances. But Joey B, the biggest thing I've gotten out of this is I did like all of my work. I did all of my previews and had my notes, and then I went and listened to the bigger people who did the previews because I want to see how like off I was or if I had any takes. Every single person mentioned Jota as the key player or the X factor for this Portugal team. As Wolves supporters, how wild is that in a Euro 2020 preview in the group of death, one good season at Liverpool got Jota from just being a potential up-and-coming player to a potential X factor?
Pretty much exactly how I expected it a year after he left Wolves. I knew he's going to just turn into a world beater and be a focal point of a top 5 team in the world. But yeah, it's a little disheartening. I'm sure I'll be more disheartened in a couple months after some buying and sellings go on. But yeah, it's a little sad, but I also find it funny. They got Pepe and Jose Fonte, age 38 and 37. I think they're the other 2 center backs, I think. So that defense will be a struggle. And both I think all their wing backs between João Cancelo, Guerrero, Semedo, all of them are attacking. So they will have a hard time stopping goals, but they have just unlimited firepower up top.
So for me, I will talk more about Portugal later, and I'll save it for you guys for later.
All right, let's talk about France real quick. It's pretty – I mean, I don't want to say I'm pulling strings to find a weakness in this team because they're sitting as the favorites. Everyone loves the midfield, and I do, but I just don't think I can rely on Pogba to be this consistent for a full tournament when they're saying he's going to be one of their main players. Like when I'm going through a bunch of their formations and seeing what France needs to do, it's continually coming up that Pogba is going to be one of their most crucial players because the up top's going to be the up top with Mbappe and the rest of the crew up there. It's what you're going to get from them regardless. Like not all three of them are going to have a poor game at the same exact time. The defense is extremely solid as well. So that's just kind of where when I'm trying to pull strings, one player that I can point to, and then Conte, I'm more confident in him. We can see game over game that he's going to be the guy, but the consistency from Pogba, because he was the main reason why they won the World Cup as well. So that's the big part of how this team goes. I think kind of goes by the way he goes. I could be off with that, but that's just the way I'm approaching this France team.
For my train of thought on that is I feel like France is sort of built around Pogba. So yes, there's a lot of pressure on him, but compared to Manchester United, I think France is better set up for him. You have attackers who can make runs in behind. You have Conte protecting him almost all the time. You're looking for possession, flair, everything that fits Pogba's description is built in France compared to United, who don't really have all those pieces. So I do think he'll play a good role, and I do expect Pogba to show out this Euros.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with both you guys. I think Pogba is a vital player, but I think for him is the motivation is a key point. And I know with United, he probably sometimes struggled with that, but I think he's, I guess, shown maybe in the last World Cup, he's proud to be French and proud of his country. I think there'll be no issue with the motivation. I think obviously not just motivation from a nationality standpoint, but also motivation from maybe proving some of the haters wrong. I think he'll have a chip on his shoulder still, especially maybe after the last domestic season.
Well, I guess the best way to sum it up of what my France thoughts are, if I'm not trying to go at the Pogba angle, let's just hope we don't see a bunch of Rabiot and Sissoko in the lineup for them, because if that's happening, they're either up 5-0 or something's going real wrong. All right, so let's get into Group D, just because I don't know. I feel like it's a right to have to talk about England. AJ loves it for some reason. Don't know why. But with this England side, they're at minus 235 to win this group. They're the second betting favorites to win it overall. Just within the group play, they're slated with Scotland, Czech Republic, and Croatia. England probably has the best advantage of any team just overall in this Euros because they'll play so many games at home. I believe the quarterfinals and one group stage are the only ones that they won't play at home. So, I mean, boy, if there's ever a time to win it, like, you got no more excuses left after this season. That's basically the best way to put it. At least make the finals, I think, is the bare minimum that England needs to do to not make this a farce or whatever. But AJ, just as a quick hitter, do you believe in Southgate? Because I don't.
No, he will be the reason England fail. Simple as that.
Where do they have to make it that he doesn't get sacked? Like what round? How far?
I agree with you. It's finals or bust. Semifinals, maybe if they show out, have a good everything else before, but semifinals, finals or bust for England.
I'm on the same train as that. Looks like Joey B is as well. That he's shaking his head. I'm just hype for the England-Scotland game. That is going to be fireworks because, I'll be rooting for Scotland. I might try to find a way to back them in that match, but boy, oh boy, that's just the peak why I love Euros is to get that type of matchup and to hopefully, because we saw it was the last one they got eliminated by Iceland. So same population. Can another team do it again?
Yeah, I just think for England, their squad themselves so talented from forwards, midfielders, defense, all young and upcoming players. I just think the way Southgate puts them out there, tactics, formation, he's just not fit for England. Obviously, I hope he proves me wrong, but I'm not a Southgate believer.
One thing before Joey B gets into his part, because I'm going to talk on this later. Croatia plus 380 to win the group. That is just way, 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 way too much value. That is just I know they don't have Mandzukic. I know that they don't have Rakitic anymore, but plus 380 to win the group with Croatia, where we've seen England lay eggs, but the group play is usually when they play better. But from your World Cup runners up, like that is just way too much sitting there, plus 380. To be honest, and it is one of my plays, I have a quarter of a unit. It's not usually one that I give out in the stream just because of how small it is, but I do have 0.25. So essentially what's a little bit more than a Taco Bell run, I guess, if you really want to classify in dollar value wise. So yeah, I have that on plus 380 because that was just too much to give up. You could also just play them in the first match because they play each other if you believe it that route as well. But with 3 games, you can't. But Joey B, let me hear England. Let me hear about the group.
England, the team just has so much talent. I mean, so many players up and down. They could almost fill out 2 strong national teams. But I'll be curious what the flack Southgate gets. I know there's a ton of drama the way they take 4 left backs. I also just find it funny they have 10 defenders and you go to Belgium and they have 7. I know that 3 doesn't seem like a lot, but when you have 22 players or whatever it is, that's a hefty portion of the team of backup defenders basically. Yeah, I just think, I mean, England should be the team for Croatia. I just think they're old. They're too old. They made it to the finals in the World Cup. That's my thing with them is they're old. They kind of reached almost as far as they could. They're obviously, I don't know if you want to say they had a chance to win the World Cup, but I think they're very happy with reaching the finals in the World Cup. And that's where maybe there's a little bit of complacency in the team around. But that gets me to the Czech. I think they, if you want to take a team to advance, I think they're like minus 120-ish to advance to the knockout stage. I think that's a good value. I just love Souček is back there. He dominated the Premier League this year. And then, Patrick Schick, who is up and down, but played really well for Leverkusen. I just find there's a lot of teams here. I think there's probably a common trend just with international teams. A lot of them have strong strikers, and a lot of them will just depend on them for goals. And if they can show out and score, their team will do well. But with Souček back there dominating the midfield, I think they set up well. And if Scotland will be tough for them, but it is the first game. I have a play on it later, but I think they should get the win, if not at least a point to kind of hold themselves for a strong third place finish. But I also think they just match up well against Croatia, especially. And then England, I think they just kind of have to expect to drop 3 points, but hope for a point. I don't know. I just think Czech Republic, I like Rex's play on Croatia to win the group just on a value, but I wouldn't be surprised if Croatia finishes third either.
Yep. No, I 100% agree with that. I'm banking on the age where I'm just hoping the first 3, the legs don't get to them there. They can pull it out. And it's more of just England dropping points because your play on the Czech Republic to advance, I'm assuming you're like, do you think they can get to 2, or are you more hoping they finish as the top 4 in the 3?
I think they can get 2, but the bet is for them to get third. I think they're going to edge up Scotland, but not going to put any money on that because I think there's like kind of similar to the way you say you can take Croatia in the first game against England. I think you can do similar things with Czech Republic and Scotland in the first game.
So my biggest issue with England, though, is they brought all these defenders, but which one do I have any bit of confidence in?
Cody.
Maybe the talent just because, or like the eyes or just something because all of them play in the top leagues or all in the Premier League. Maybe I'm giving them too much slack because of that because this could be their true time to show up when they're playing against other players who are in the lower leagues. Because the England back line, I mean, it's all names that you're watching every single weekend. But if my center back pairing's really going to be Harry Maguire and Stones, I'm thinking I'm winning games 3-2 and not winning 1-0, 2-1 games. Maybe 2-1 is their most realistic shot because I just think betting on both teams to score in all 3 of England's games may be one of your best routes to go because I could be completely wrong and they're going to keep 3 clean sheets, but Pickford's going to be in net as well, probably. I don't know who they're going to be starting in net. Did they announce it, AJ, yet, or is it still
I'm
up
pretty
in
sure
the
it's
air?
still up in the air.
But yeah, with that, I mean, the offense is there. I won't doubt Mason Mount. I'm not going to doubt Foden. I'm not going to doubt Harry Kane. I know they're going to be able to score. It's going to be how much are they not going to be let up, and they're going to give up a shit ton of dangerous chances. I can already tell you that because of how offensive they are. Maybe that's why Southgate doesn't really play to the strengths of the team completely, because you know how vulnerable that defense is. But that's the one big thing that's keeping me back, and I'll get into it later, but I just don't think you should be placing any England futures out there.
I think
Go ahead.
go for it.
Okay. I was just going to say, I sadly agree with Rex. I just think it's dumb how you don't play to your strengths, but try to play for your weaknesses. I don't know teams who win by playing against their strengths.
Yeah, I mean, I was just gonna say I was surprised when Trent Alexander-Arnold left the team. I thought Lingard was going to be a shoe-in to be the next guy, but they bring in Ben White, another defender. Just a little shocked. Do you think there's any chance I don't know what Southgate's normal tactics are. Do you think he's going to line up? Any chance he lines up with 5 defenders? Is that something he has done or normally does? Is that how they will line up?
So I've been reading on reports for this first match. He's looking at 3 at the back with 2 heavy wing backs, which could also be like 5 in the back. So that is a very real possibility with them.
Yeah, I think that's the best. I know maybe a little biased Wolves, but I mean, put Cody in the middle with Maguire and either Stones or Mings on either side. I think that's the best. You can't put. I mean, I guess you would start Maguire, maybe Mings and Stones as a 3, but who knows what he's going to go with.
That's a good way to score goals. That's a very good way to make sure you're dangerous on any set piece by just have 3 huge bodies just going up to every head ball.
I mean, I just don't know. I don't know. But I think that the wing backs are set up to play. They're set up to play with 3 center backs and 2 wing backs. I think that's strong. But then you sacrifice a bunch of midfielders, and who do you then play up top? I'd rather just load the team with like Foden, Mount, Sancho, Kane, Rashford, and Sterling. Just like play with 7 strikers and just go for it.
Yeah, so the last thing I just want to say on this group before we move on to the next one is I could be taking I don't think it's too much of a recency bias, but I remember watching the England-Poland game back on March 31st. England ended up squeaking it out in the 85th minute, 2-1 on a Harry Maguire goal, and the first goal was by Harry Kane on a penalty kick. So I just think that's the type of England I am expecting, a very underwhelming, letting Poland hang in the match the entire game and scoring on their only shot on goal. I'm just expecting that more of a version of England than them just clicking on all cylinders, but let's have Southgate prove me wrong, and I don't know, just too much.
Agreed.
All right, let's stick with Polska, and let's talk about Group E, where you got Spain, Poland, Sweden, and Slovakia. Got a lot of thoughts on this group, guys. I know you guys might not hear, but this is the group that's affected by COVID because Spain and Sweden both had small outbreaks. So it seems like some players are going to be out, and we don't know when they could potentially return. And that is huge for Sweden because Kulusevski was one of the guys that popped positive, who I would say is probably their X factor on their team, or who I think is one of their most creative players. There's maybe a little Serie A there, but I definitely think Kulusevski is one of the key pieces for that Sweden side. With this Poland side, or with Spain's, let's go before there. They usually start slow. The talent's there, but they didn't select 26 players to their roster, which you're allowed to do. Teams have done this before, and I criticize them every time. They elected to select 24. So right there, you're just giving 0. And you can say the Real Madrid, whatever. No Real Madrid players are selected. That's for another podcast or stream. But now with this pop, there's a potential for their first match. They could have like 18, 19 guys, 17 guys at worst suited up. It's just maybe they make it through it. they ride out the storm just because Poland, Sweden, Slovakia, even if Spain has a few guys pop, they should be good enough to beat them. But this is my group of chaos here. I think we could see some pretty things with it. Poland, but that's the other thing is the group in Poland, I wanted to pull for them, but they legitimately only have Lewandowski there. They don't have anyone else on the roster with Piatek and Milik missing this. So that's just where you have a 41 goal scorer. He can beat any team on any given day if he's just feeling himself. So I won't doubt that, but it's the roster around them that gives me the biggest cause for pause again, to quote Daryl. That's why I'm on Slovakia to advance out of the group. I'm assuming that's them as the third place team. If they finish in second, I'll be going crazy. That's at plus 180. Just because I think points are 100% available against Poland and Sweden. With Sweden getting the pops, I think that's a big thing to help Slovakia there. Poland, Slovakia is not going to try to outscore you. They're just going to sit back and bunker. So it's going to be me pulling out my hair watching their matches. But that's one way where you can potentially limit Lewandowski. And then with the Spain game, if they get a draw, then I'm sitting pretty. But that's where I'm on Slovakia plus 180 to be one of the, and I'm hoping it's one of the top 4 teams to qualify. It's not going to be by goal differential. They'll have to pull out a win, hopefully, against Poland and Sweden, and then I'm sitting good.
Yeah, everything you laid out makes complete sense. It's just I fear Lewandowski, like you said, he could go off any single day. Just hop in his backpack and let him carry Poland. So, Joey B, any thoughts on this group?
Yeah, I mean, I think just looking at Spain's like roster and the players they have kind of reminds me a little bit of Germany and kind of like some older guys on the edge, but then some young guys. I noticed 2 of their more important players are Villarreal players. AJ, you should be pretty familiar with them. But they I just had to get it in there. I was actually counting to make sure I knew how many there really were. It'll be curious to see if a Dama will be a factor in how Hull line up, because I know it's a little different. I guess probably different than playing in the Premier League. I think it's his first probably big tournament with Spain for sure. But yeah, just like some like Busquets, Koke, Alcantara, or Thiago, sorry. Some of those guys mainstays, but then you get some of the young guns like Gerard Moreno or Traore, Ferran Torres. Be interesting to see how those guys mesh. So kind of a little different styles, I guess, here, or different age. I don't know, not as much chemistry I feel like is we're used to with the Spain team.
I mean, they just left a lot of notable names off there. I'm not a manager, so Enrique, obviously, I think he knows what he's doing, and he's in a group that if they come in second, that's just, you can't do that if you're Spain here. All right, let's get into 2 quick, fun topics. We don't have bets on this. These are just bets available for you to bet, and I don't know, it's just fun, interesting to think about, because for the second one, you have to think about a team getting eliminated quickly. And for the first one, you have to be banking on a team riding it out to get there. But for the most goals scored in the tournament, this is one that we can grade on for fun later. We'll get bragging rights if you win it. Who do we think puts the most in the back of the net? I have the odds up here, but you have Belgium and England as your 2 favorites. Then you have a few of the other teams sitting a little bit further back. I'm not rattling them off. Quick hitters. Who do we think wins this one?
Italy. They're gonna not be their traditional defensive style, and I expect good things from Italy in this
Wow.
year.
Dang, coming in hot with that one. I really have no clue. It's hard not to pick Belgium. I'm trying to think of an underdog, but then like maybe like Germany, but I don't think they're going to score that many. And then England is obviously the other favorite, but the way their defense is set up, they're going to need to score goals, but who knows how far they're going to go. This is a hard one for me. And I think Portugal plus 1,500, just because of the amount of attacking firepower they have, could be a good option here.
Yeah, the Belgian one sitting at plus 450 kind of just makes the most sense with the style of their play. England, if they make it far, that's the only way they're winning it. But at the same time, they could put up high numbers in their group play. I still think France is your safest one here, even though they might only grind out 1 or 2-0 wins, France isn't a 0-0 team. So that's where I think, and they're the ones you can rely on probably to get the furthest. So sitting as like the 6th highest favorites, where the Netherlands of all teams is sitting higher than them, that's laughable. If you have a Netherlands ticket, I'm sorry, I'm not your friend anymore. But yeah, that's where it's just like, if you're going to really give me that, that's probably might be worth a Taco Bell run. All right, here's the fun one. Who's conceding the most goals in this tournament? And every team that's has the odds-on favorite look to be eliminated right away, which is funny to think because, I mean, another team could potentially have like 3 more games. That's where, like, honestly, England's has like one of the worst odds for this. That might be the biggest Taco Bell run potentially out there, just because, especially if they make it far, I know they're going to concede in each game.
Yeah, for me, how can you not pick Hungary? I think each game in the group stages is going to be 3, 4, 5 goals from France, Portugal, Germany. So I just expect Hungary to get stomped on.
Yeah, I think for me, Scotland is the 4th highest team here. I think that's, I think just the way Scotland, I imagine them to play is not going to be to give up many goals. They may lose a handful of games like 1-0, 2-0. So that's not the route I'd go. But for me, it's hard. I actually think Finland they're the 2nd favorite.
Yep.
I was trying to decide between them and North Macedonia, but I don't really trust Austria and Ukraine to put up huge numbers on them. But for Finland, I think they may give up like 5 to Belgium, and then that's going to set them back pretty high. So Belgium, Denmark, and Russia may do a number on Finland. So that's kind of the way I'd go, is just take that second one.
Hey, you're leading into one of my bets, and my serious take would be Finland in this one. It's their first career tournament. They're the team with 3 MLS players, and I know 2 of them are most likely playing for them. Not trying to hate on it, but yeah, that group doesn't set up for them well, because their first match is potentially going to get ugly, and I'll save the rest of my thoughts for there. Let's get into the golden boot time, fellas. Let's redeem ourselves here. We got Lukaku sitting as the favorite. We got, naturally, Serie A winner. Like, he's going to be number 1 over that bum Harry Kane and Mbappe. Like, Lukaku is easy number 1 here. Then you have Ronaldo sitting at 3rd favorites, and then you can list everyone else out, but your top 4, Lukaku, Kane, Mbappe, Ronaldo. Is there anyone that we have strong feelings on? Do any of you guys have actual coin on this, or is this just another, we're going to have a bragging rights bet?
Actual coin on Kylian Mbappe. I think France makes a deep run, and France is just too good. My only worry for that would be him laying everything off to Benzema. But I believe Rex had a pretty good prop on a France, Mbappe, and Benzema combo.
Thank you, Goose, for that. Always love when he shouts out the show. He's going with the Ukraine to win Group C. Goose, I will definitely get into that. But yes, AJ, the bet you alluded to, and what do you have Mbappe on, like plus 11,000?
So my book was very poor. I have Mbappe at plus 850 for Golden Boot winner.
Hey, still a nice hefty price, not the big one, but yeah, if you do have DraftKings, and we probably have a promo for them, I don't know, but number of goals scored by Benzema and Mbappe combined over 3.5. You can get the yes at minus 167, the no at plus 120. If AJ's liking Mbappe to hit the over the goal total, he's going to like the yes on this side. Joey B, and that's without even thinking about what Benzema could do. And I definitely think he does get a goal in this one. So you only need Mbappe to get 2 or 3 here to cash. Joey B, what side would you be on?
Yeah, I think with those, I think definitely take a yes on that. I'll lay the juice with it. I think 4 goals, maybe take them 3 games to get there, depending on how they play. Granted, there could be some tough matches, obviously in the group of death. Hey, they might get 4 against Hungary, so could be an easy one. And then for me, in terms of just Golden Boot winners, I would just kind of look at some long shots maybe you think could advance far. I think we had mentioned this guy before, but Jota for Portugal plus 4,000, not a bad long shot, or even someone who I think Ferran Torres is due for, or is going to have a great tournament. I think he will start for Spain. He played for Man City, obviously, but I think he played really well when he did. So I think kind of continuing to learn and grow, I think we'll have a great tournament. I think a plus 4,000 for him too is another long shot kind of value play, I guess you could say.
There's one choice and one choice only, fellows. Big Rom for the win. Easy money. We're taking that one to the bank.
So, quick question. So, Belgium is a little banged up. Hazard, Kevin De Bruyne is coming in injured. Do you think that plays
We'll
any
talk
role?
about it later.
There you go.
So that's what we have for the Golden Boot. I feel like we have to do, or I have to do, a Group A quick hit right here with Italy. Just because, spoiler alert, as we're getting into who we think the Euro champions are going to be, it's not going to be Italy. I can tell you that right now. I do have faith that this team can go well. I definitely like their path. If they finish second in the group, which by means would be pretty terrible for them, but I definitely think they have a more solid path if they do finish in the top spot. But this team just isn't meant to last out a long tournament. And if I'm honestly relying on Immobile and Belotti up top at this stage of my career, and Immobile is probably the best Serie A player of all time and the most hated player for the Azzurri of all time, just because if you look at the amount of appearances he has for Italy, and if you only count the big matches and not the friendlies and look at his goal totals, it's just not a pretty looking sight. So without the true lack of a number 9, and the last time we had a true number 9, we went pretty far, and his name was Mario Balotelli. No shock there. So that's just kind of where, with Italy, I do think they make a decent run. That midfield is extremely strong along with that defense, but just finishing up top is going to cost them in the long run, in my opinion. But they usually always have made it to past the round of 16, lose to Spain, beat to Spain. For some reason, Italy always finds Spain in the Euros. It's happened in the last 3 years, or the last 3 Euros.
Yeah, I feel like personally I'm a little bit on the opposite side. I know you, as the Italian blood and everything, you probably have better insight on Italy, but I just think this year is different for them. They're not going to be as defensive. They'll show out. They'll get results where they need. So that's where I stand on Italy. Joey B, any thoughts on it?
If Immobile proves me wrong, I'll be the happiest man of all time, and I will be rocking my Italy national team jersey, or probably the Balotelli jersey, because the Balotelli jersey is sneaky, one of my favorites I have.
Love that. Joey B, any thoughts on Group A or Italy?
Nothing more than you guys already said. I think Italy's got good wingers, great midfield. But that Switzerland team, I feel like they're ranked high, but could be a tough team to beat, tough to go up against. And then Turkey and Wales. I wish you could find a prop for like Wales to finish third or something and Turkey to get last. I think would be interesting, but I don't have too many thoughts on those teams either.
So going along with Joey B's thoughts, I actually have a play on this group, and it is Turkey to not advance. It's at plus 120, depending on the book. I think it's more of I like Wales to get in that third spot versus Turkey Turkey not playing well. This bet will be determined in probably the first 2 match days as Wales and Turkey go against each other. So yeah, that's my bet.
Yeah, so this is one where another reason why I want to get into this group, and another reason why I'm low on Poland, so sorry I'm jumping back. Poland and Switzerland have the worst travel situation in the entire Euros of every team competing. Switzerland has to go from Baku to Rome to Baku, and Baku's in Azerbaijan, and that's an 8.5-hour flight minimum. So they have to make that trek, and then Poland has to go from St. Petersburg to Sevilla to St. Petersburg. I didn't look up the time of that flight, but I know Spain and Russia are sitting around another 8-hour flight if Azerbaijan and Rome are. So that's just kind of where those are the 2 teams where I have a play based on it coming up in our best bets, and definitely plays on our next two broadcasts where I'll be fading Switzerland and Poland hard coming up.
Yeah, I was going to say earlier, whoever's got to go play in Baku is kind of screwed. It's like way out there, obviously. Kind of a cool city, I think. If you ever want to go to Azerbaijan, that's where I would go. I don't know what else is there besides Baku. Yeah, interesting. I didn't realize how they have the different host cities all over Europe. So definitely, if you're capping games, make sure to check where they're being played. How many fans are going to be, all that stuff. Because I think every stadium's different. Everyone should tune into all the games being played in Hungary because I believe that was one of the few stadiums that will be 100% full.
Mm-hmm.
And then to go off your Turkey point, I do like that one because I was kind of more sold on Turkey, but you're making me think of the other side where they're going to be counting on Yilmaz, who I believe is 33 or 35 years old, the striker for Lille. And he just had a fantastic season there. But are his legs gassed because who else is scoring for Turkey? I'm not too sure. They're definitely probably, I think, a little overvalued because they just kill it at home. Turkey does not lose at home. I don't know what it is about playing in Istanbul, but Turkey does not lose at home. So that's just kind of where I think that is a great angle as well. Are they playing in – because all the host cities seem to be in one of the groups except for this one. So that's like really strange why Baku was picked over Istanbul, but I knew they moved the Champions League final out Istanbul as well. So I'm assuming it's along the same lines as that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was like I don't know why Baku was picked, but yeah, I'll be curious.
He just raced there in F1, so it's probably why.
Hell yeah! I tuned into Drive to Survive. Started that on Netflix. Great series.
All right, let's get into what everybody came here for. Our winners. And then we'll get into best bets. We're running a little long, but I told you it's going to be a mega show, so I was not wrong with that title, fellas. All right, it's our winner. We are picking one to stick by because of the golden boot, of the little other fun props we gave out. This is what true bragging rights will be over for if we pick the winner. I hope none of us share it. I'm not going to read out all the odds, but France is your favorite. England sits 200 points back of that, and then Belgium a little bit further. So those are your top three, fellas. Who are we liking? Do you want me to start, or do one of you guys want to take the cap?
Let me get us started. My play, and I told you guys I was saving this for later. I took Portugal to win Euros 2020 at plus 900. The reason I like Portugal, and these guys have alluded to it before, I like their attacking. Bruno Fernandes is a game changer. They have experience in Pepe and Ronaldo. They've been here. They've done that. I just think they get the job done.
Back to back?
Back to back.
It's funny. I think, I don't know. I just have a feeling Portugal may not show up here. I think going back, it's been a down year for Cristiano Ronaldo. He's going to play in Europa next year. But I don't know. I'm just messing. I actually like Belgium to win. Maybe not the value on them, but I just think they have got the squad. I know De Bruyne has got some questionable injury concerns, but I just think they have so much talent up and down. This is the year for them to finally kind of put it all together. They have, I would say, honestly, probably a pretty hard draw coming out. They have to play the third place winner from the group of death. I think that could be their downfall, I think. But I don't know. I just think they have enough to show out. If they can get out of that first round, knockout game, I think they've got a pretty good path to get to the final. But I have them beating France in the finals. So I'll give you my second place team as well.
Joey beat taking Belgium. That one hurts because I was definitely leaning that way. And you said there's not value on it, but I definitely do see value on it. They're the number one team in the world right now for a reason. This is the peak of their golden generation because if this doesn't happen, it's never going to happen. But fellas, the team I like to win is sitting at 40-1. We're going with Croatia. We like Croatia to pull this one out. Belgium would be, if I'm taking one of the top 3 odds to take there. Portugal would be maybe my second choice of the shorter odds. France sitting at plus 460. I just don't think there's much value in that, and I hate France's path. No matter which way they finish in that group, I just hate every team that they have to line up with and in that side of the bracket. So that's just where Croatia, I love their path. Their biggest test is going to probably be Belgium within that path. So that's just kind of where at 40-1, I think I'll have multiple hedge opportunities once I hit past the round of 16. So we're riding with Croatia. And just to put it out there, the last 2 European teams to make the finals of the World Cup, the next Euro, neither of them have won a game. That was when Spain had their terrible year. And then the year before that was when Germany had their terrible year. So the last 2 teams to win the World or to come in, no, it was France. France didn't end up winning a game in like 2008. So it's the last 2 teams to finish runner-up, haven't won a game. So I got to pick Croatia at 40-1. That is just way too big of odds for me. Denmark literally has better odds than them. Netherlands has better odds than them. Those 2 are silly. Everyone else I can make an argument for, but 40-1, that is way too high.
Yeah, I think it's I think pretty good number. I think honestly, I was just looking at my little bracket predictor. The way I have it set up, that like bottom quarter, the bottom 2 matchups are pretty weak. So honestly, it made me think. I have like Denmark, I think, matched up against Turkey, in which Denmark would be second place in Group B. I want to be if Belgium gets second in Group B and kind of ends up that bottom half, depending on how some of these matchups play out.
That's a much better path for them.
A much better path. So honestly, it makes me want to look at like Denmark or so maybe take Belgium not to win that group if that's a rounder out there somewhere. But yeah, that's why I looking at Croatia. I think the way I have it, they match up against Netherlands. But either way, I think that bottom part of the bracket there probably will be a little easier. And if teams are a little I don't know the word, but if they finagle themselves down into that bottom part, they think they'll have a little better odds down there to get to the final, at least the semifinal.
Man, I was expecting to get a lot more hate because my path, I have Croatia playing Slovakia, then Austria, then Belgium in the semis. So if I can get Croatia up against Slovakia and Germany, I'm really liking my chances there.
Yeah, I mean, long shots do win every so often, and you've laid out the perfect path. And I mean, they've been here.
And I was about to say the last one was Mandzukic was one of their goal scorers. This is Rebic's time and Rebic's debut for the national team. So even though Mandzukic is gone, he's stepping in. Replacing Rakitic is going to be their hardest part. But let's go, Croatia. Let's not let those old legs catch up to us yet.
Yeah, I mean, for me, there's no hate because I think at the very least it'll be a good hedge opportunity. I know I said they're old and maybe a little complacent, but I think most likely see themselves in the round of in the quarterfinals. I think, and even at that point with 40-1, you can start to hedge a little bit.
All right, let's get into our best bets. Guys, your parlay that you laughed at me at, our only play from Line Breakers FC, ended up cashing with no sweat. So that was the only unit picked up from the last show. We got our Euros time. New record. This is like our intermission between seasons 2 and 3. We can start working in some Copa America bets if you guys have those, unless if we're just going to strictly stay with Euros, but that's all we have. So group stage 1, perfect time for all you guys who just jumped in. It's our best bets. We'll recap all of our futures we have at the end with our best bets. So I got 3 with you, so I'll kick it off. And the one reason why I'm taking this bet is Switzerland money line at plus 120 is the first play. That one's on Saturday. And the reason why I'm on this one is because they just have the terrible, terrible travel from Baku to Rome to Baku coming up. So if they can't pull out all three against Wales, this team might be relying on getting that third place spot. Shaqiri, as long as he's clicking, this team's going to roll. Really got to watch these guys because the USA played a friendly against them. And just setting up against this Welsh team, I just like everything they can do to it because they're just going to be relying on Gareth Bale to be scoring up top. They have no true number 9. This Wales team, their under is sitting at under 2 minus 140. So I could be looking at a 0-0 game at the end of the day, but I just think Switzerland does pull this one out. It could be a sweaty 1-0 win, but we're taking the Swiss at plus 120.
What the heck? No love for Wales and Dan James?
They're all right. I mean, they could potentially make some noise, but I'm not expecting it to be against a Swiss team that just should outclass them. And yeah, Wales made the last crazy run the last Euros, and I just don't see that in this squad whatsoever. But no one saw that last Euros either. So if you're just betting chalk, this is probably the worst tournament to do it because we always see some crazy finishes.
Joey B, any thoughts on Switzerland?
No, not really. I think just probably too much talent and probably a more I don't know. I can't think of the word. I just lost the word. So
no worries. I will jump into my first play. I will kick off Euros 2020 tomorrow. I got Italy team total over 1.5, sits at minus 110. I just think they bag at least 2 goals here. I don't care what they do on defense, but Italy gets a convincing 2. I think final score will be like 3-0.
Love that. I just think the team can come out clicking. Turkey, I honestly do think will sit back and play extremely defensive this game. So the only way this one doesn't cash if it's only a 1-0 win is the only way I see it.
Yeah, I think I may tell you on that, not official, but just know I'll be rooting for you. For me, my first bet, I'm going to stick. I talked about him before, but Czech Republic, draw no bet, minus 120 up against Scotland. They have Croatia and England after this, so if they want any chance to get out of into the knockout stage, they should, I think, go for all 3 points here. I think they have more talent kind of around and better stars. I think I know Robertson and McTominay, I think, are obviously there. But I think Czech should get the win here. If not, they won't lose. But yeah, just kind of my lean. Hopefully they won't lose. You never know. But I'll back them because if they want any chance to get out of here, they got to at least get a point and definitely not let Scotland win here.
I'm pretty sure the last 2 times Scotland and the Czech played, and that was between the last World Cup and now, Scotland has actually gotten the dub in both of those games. So go against the grain here. I like it.
I think last I saw they won 3 in a row, but I don't know when that third game was. So,
all right, second play time. I mean, I like Finland to concede the most goals. This Denmark team usually tends not to show up on the big stage, but I mean, there might be starting an MLS center back that doesn't even start for Minnesota United and Rattila. So that's where it's just like Denmark over 2.25 at plus 108. If you like the juice, because juice doesn't matter if it cashes, play the Denmark team total over 1.5 at minus 135. That guarantees you a win here. I just think Denmark just lays it on them. Finland, I would like them to score. Puki's questionable for the first match, so that doesn't make me feel too great. So that's where the Denmark team total feels a little bit of a stronger bet, but I have no doubt that Denmark can put up 3 here. It just depends if they ultimately, after it's 2-0, if they go for the third.
So is this more of you believe in Denmark's attack or you hate Finland's defense?
Both. I like Denmark a lot in this group, especially with Belgium. They'll be able to contend, and I think Denmark's one of the hottest teams coming into this Euro. So that's just kind of where it's just 2 good things matching up against each other. I might take the over in every Finland match, kind of similar to the Hungary route, but it won't be as high or as juicy where Hungary, you're going up against the big dogs. Finland, you'll find sneakier ones at lower prices.
Perfect. Cool. So my second play, we are traveling to Russia. It is Belgium, Russia over 2.5, sits at plus 105. Alluded to before, Belgium has one of the best attacks. I do think Russia at home at least gets some opportunities to score. I see this being 2-1, 3-1, 3-0 Belgium.
I actually really like that bet. I have my second bet is in the same game, but taking Belgium money line, I don't think they will be too scared about going into Russia. But I know we've talked in the Champions League. Russia is always a hard place to play, but I think Belgium's just got too much talent. They should get all 3 points. Like AJ said, I could see 2-1, 3-1 game here. But they're minus 137, so a little bit of juice. But if you do like it, maybe Belgium and over 1.5, just for a little extra value. But yeah, I just think Belgium get the job done and get off on the right foot, running right away.
And that's a play on all 3 Saturday games, living up to the true Line Breakers FC mentality. We love betting on the weekend matches. All right, so my next play coming up is kind of alluded to it, but we're taking the Hungary Portugal over 2.5 here because if there's any other team to concede a lot, it's going to be Hungary. Portugal with this group. I've already spoken about it. I just think teams are going to try to increase their goal differential. Once again, play the Portugal team total over 1.5 at minus 141. Parlay that together with the money line to Joey B special. Go either of those routes to reduce the juice. But that's where I got the Hungary Portugal over 2.5 at plus 104 here.
Yeah, I like that a lot. I think Portugal gets that done.
Goose is saying Saturday are for the bets. I like that as well. And if Saturdays are for the bets, there's definitely going to be a Sunday bet added for me. There's 2 great options I like on the card, and I hope Goose is still here for one of them. But man, this England line just continues to go up, and it could potentially be the biggest money line dog given out. But I definitely like Croatia as I do right now on the goal line. It's sitting at plus 0.75 at plus 110. I love that. It's continuing to steam in the England favor. So that's why I haven't locked in on that yet, because I know I'll get a better line if I can somehow get a plus 1. Please just give it to me all day. But that money line sitting at plus 475 right now. It's really calling my name. The second dog I like is Ukraine over the Netherlands. Ukraine sitting at plus 517 on the money line. The plus 1 will be there. And this is more of just, I just don't trust Frank de Boer. He's a coach just like Southgate is at England. He's not playing to Netherlands' strengths. And Netherlands do not have an attacker. They're going to be relying on Memphis Depay to get all the goals for this team here. And they just play a possession-based, slow, ticky-tacky, Spain-light football. And that's what De Boer likes to do. And I just don't think this team has it, especially without Virgil. Like, that's easy to say, one of the best center backs out there. But this Ukraine team has 16 Shakhtar Donetsk players. All the rest are I think half, if not more, of the rest of the players are from the Premier 5, whatever you want to call the 5. And the last of my knowledge, that Shakhtar Donetsk team took down Real Madrid at Real Madrid. So, yes, this game is in Amsterdam. That's why I've stayed off of this one as I've had right now, just because both of these dogs on Sunday are traveling in to the other team's true home stadium. So that's the biggest reason why I don't like it. I'll probably end up playing the Asian handicap on each of them. But those are the 2 big dogs that I like for the group 1 or round 1 of the group stage.
What about North Macedonia? Just take all 3 underdogs on Sunday.
I mean, if you trust Alioski that much to show up for North Macedonia, then go for it. Austria is like Denmark. They choke on the big stage, so I wouldn't doubt it. But, yeah, that North Macedonia team isn't going to be winning any pretty games if you're backing on them. All right, so let's recap our bets. I have Croatia to win the group at 0.25 units at plus 380. The rest of my plays are all at a full unit. I got Slovakia to advance at plus 180. Then I got Switzerland money line at plus 120. Denmark, Finland over 2.25 at plus 108. The Hungary, Portugal over 2.5 at plus 104. And then follow me on Twitter to see of Croatia and Ukraine, what I do ultimately end up adding on Sunday.
Man, the more you talk about the Ukraine, the more I like them. So I might be looking into that. But to recap all my plays, I got Portugal to go back-to-back to win the Euros, Mbappe Golden Boot winner, and Turkey to not advance from Group A. In the singles matches, I got Italy team total over 1.5 and Belgium, Russia over 2.5.
I don't have any official future bets, but I just have two for the first round. Belgium money line minus 137, Czech Republic draw no bet minus 120, and that's it for me.
And that's a full hour for Line Breakers FC episode 71. We will see you guys after the first stage of the group matches. We will come live before round 2 to give you out more best bets. So until early next week, we'll be live before Thursday. We'll see you then.